going to be cool.
I mean, that's why I've been sort of going hard on like Wingman certainly this last week or so, like, but maybe week and a half, 2 weeks, where it suddenly came together and became the most useful thing in my life.
I mean,
this
like,
thing's amazing.
Give me the roundup on this as well, because I mean, we haven't even really like touched base because of said man flu. It's kept me out of action. But like, what's the update? What's been happening with Wingman?
So I guess if we rewind ourselves maybe 4 weeks ago, maybe it was, maybe a bit longer, I'd popped off after a podcast to go and buy myself a Mac Mini computer, and I had this like intuition, like probably the best way to run AI stuff is not on your current computer, and it's not like with a SaaS environment. It's probably to give the computer, like to give the AI the whole computer, and just like let it have its own environment in which it works. And so that was the reasoning behind buying that as a bit of a test.
And having its own environment is like purely from like a privacy perspective, or
you
is
install it on this computer and it has access to everything on that computer, and it can run whatever it wants in the terminal, so it can make stuff.
Yeah.
Like there's almost like, you get to the point where it's like I can't even like hide stuff from you on this computer, because you can always like, even if I don't let you run all these commands, you can just run programs. So you write a program that then extracts the stuff that's in there. Like, it's just like, all right, this is yours now. And it's like when you hire an employee and you go, well, here's your computer on which you will work.
Yeah.
And I think like taking that same paradigm into AI and being like, right, okay, Goose, this is your computer. Like, I'm gonna set some stuff up so I can see what's going on, and then, but beyond that, like, it's yours, and I will assume that anything I put on here is compromised, so I won't have any of my personal stuff on it.
Yeah.
And so it kind of works a bit like this. And so on that computer, I have 2 chief agents that I use, which are Goose and Claude Code. And the main problem with this setup is that it's like a little Mac Mini, so I can't take it anywhere. So it's like, all right, well, I can sit at this computer and do coding stuff if I want to, and I can run stuff, and that's cool. But if I get up at the office and walk into the kitchen and it's stuck, like I don't know anything about it until I go back in. Or like, it just like I can't go anywhere. If I'm going gonna go drive somewhere, pick up the kids.
Yeah, it changes.
I don't know what's going on. Like, and there's times like, oh, this doesn't feel like how it should be. Like, because a person could just let me know if they're stuck, or it could, get on the phone. I could give it some direction, and things would keep going. Like, so it's like, all right, well, how could I run the stuff on here? So that instead of like Claude Code running in a way that I have to sit at this particular computer, like, can I run it in a way that I can access it from anywhere? And I was experimenting with, various ways of using like SSH tunnels to manage it from other places and things, and it was kind of working. And I resolved around using like this Tmux terminal emulation type system to run multiple sessions at once that I can then attach to from different computers. And like, all right, that works really well. And then, so that was like, this is kind of like my start point with it all. I was like, oh yeah, this is, all right, that's cool. And I thought, but I don't really, like, it's a bit of a pain doing it this way. It'd be great if I could just, run the agents and then have like a nice way of talking to them. And I think I'd said a while ago, like, I was really, I get a really good vibe of Goose, but I was struggling to get it good enough, or like in a form factor that it would replace just general use of, say, Claude Desktop for me. That's gone. I haven't. Like, the only reason I use like Claude and ChatGPT now is if I just want to ask a really quick question. Because they respond fast. But I don't, and even then I often just Google it in the. Because Googling in the address bar just pulls up the Google response usually, which is based on a lot of the search data that it gets back. So it's like, this is actually response. Pretty good for what I need from a search perspective. So so then what I did is I built, I had another intuition that I was like, look, the Goose like desktop agent I can't do much with. and trying to like run that through like a VNC tunnel and remote desktop. I was like, oh, this doesn't. It just feels crap. Like the response rates on it are bad. I just want to turn this into a website so I can just host it at home and then hit it from anywhere. And then I did that. It's like I think I tried this originally with Claude Code, and I just couldn't get the wrapper to work properly. But it worked very nicely with Goose. That I was able to wrap the Goose CLI inside, like a little Node.js control plane type thing, which will allow me to just spin up multiple versions of the Goose CLI in a different process thread.
Yeah.
So I could have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 versions of Goose running at any one time. I could specify different, like they have a thing inside Goose called recipes, and your recipe is your system prompt plus tools plus instructions for like what you should be doing. And so I started to use those, and I was like, okay, well this is kind of cool. And I built like a whole web infrastructure for how you would manage and then monitor what these agents were doing. So Wingman is kind of like your central control system or operating system for multiple agents that are running on a remote computer, and it is fucking amazing. It's cool. It's like what I've always wanted. So I'm not doing any like down and dirty, like I don't know, building of agent systems with this one anymore. Like that's obviously a lot of that stuff exists in Everest, but it just didn't seem like it was going to be worthwhile to do that when we've got good versions of agents that I can just pick up and use with Goose. So so effectively how Wingman would work now is I can go on Wingman and I've got my recipe manager, and I can build as many recipes as I want. I can reuse like the MCP servers across different ones, so I specify it once, use many. I can set up, so I have all these different sort of agents in there, and I can set up a new session. Like when I start a new session, it doesn't close the old one. So if you think about, like, say in ChatGPT, if you go from one chat to the other chat, your previous chat stops. That doesn't happen in Wingman. These are all like running systems. So every one of them exists in its own thread. So I can go like, okay, well, do this, like create this plan around this one, and then I just click to the next session. I'm like, okay, now I want you to review this PR request that I've got and update the comments on GitHub, and then like you do this, and I just issue commands. And then at any point from, again, because everything runs on the Mac Mini, like I don't have a good way of explaining like how just fucking nice this is, but because it's always all running on this server that just like sits in the office, if I'm at my computer, I can see exactly what's going on. If I use my phone, I pull it up, I can see exactly what's going on and like where it's at. And then the output of all the stuff, instead of dicking around trying to build like a really good artefact system like Claude's done, I was like, well, I don't want like outputs in a chat. A chat is for having a chat. It's for issuing orders, checking in on stuff, getting updates. Like it's not for where we display the content. So I just like attached like an Obsidian MCP server and said like, okay, this is a separate vault that's synced to all my devices. You have full access to everything that's in here. And so it'll write like all of its product documentation, like all the plans are just really nicely formatted Obsidian like markdown docs. I can like, it's all structured nicely. I know exactly what's in what product, what's what feature, like where it is in the backlog versus active states and all this, and it's all written and controlled by Wingman, but then I can get at it from anywhere. So it's on my laptop, it's on my mobile. On my mobile, like I was showing you the other day, I installed a piece of software called Aloud, which is an Obsidian plugin, so it'll just read them out to me. So
that's nice.
If I'm out and about, like I was doing it this morning, I was just like wandering along the beach, and I had it read. I've installed a Grug Brain developer version. I'll go into that in a minute. And I had it reviewing my roadmap for Wingman. And turning it into big shiny rocks and stuff. Like it was just having it read out to me while I was wandering along the beach, and I'll stop and like dictate my thoughts on the answer, and it carries on, creates a new version. It's just
it's cool.
It's a really natural way of working. And like you use the chat for the chat, and you use your document systems for your documents. And everything suddenly makes sense. Like it's the right separation of like mental concerns. And then the bit that I wasn't really getting great responses from in Goose was probably around like the execution environment. So Claude Code is just, given a good plan,
Yeah.
I just don't think there's another coding agent. Granted, I haven't actually tested the Codex one recently or Cursor, so who knows? But it is just great.
No, it's
like
it's better than Cursor in my opinion.
And when you give it like a really good plan,
Yeah.
I mean, Root Code is great, but because it runs in a browser environment, it's not much good to me inside Wingman. So, but I'm finding these days that Claude Code and sub-agents and stuff just works.
Yeah, I feel like Claude Code though benefits from adding to context as the code base grows, which is the thing we were kind of talking about yesterday a little bit, because I kept finding myself hitting a loop where it would just be trying to like fix a bug with an ad hoc set of fixes that would cause another problem, and then they'd fix that problem, and then it would recreate the original problem, and it was just going over and over. And yeah, I think you'd suggested just going back and getting it to create a fixed document, and so I did that, but I actually just like went back into the PRDs and just went like, actually, this has progressed a lot since that original PRD. Let's spend a bit of time just on the vision documents again and work out like how well this aligns to the changes that we've made along the way.
So I started doing effectively audit documents prior to a PRD.
Yeah.
Where and because particularly in Wingman, there's a few areas where I needed to do like a big refactor into a different way of working. I was like, okay, well that worked to get, it does the job.
Yeah.
This isn't how it should run. It should run like this. And so I set it the task of what's like Goose the task. Say, okay, well I want you to go through the code base, go through like all the documentation. I want you to audit exactly how this works right now.
Yeah.
With a view that these are the things that I think are wrong with it, and then that's the world that we should be going to. And it came out of it like it generally gave you a really good audit of what was going on and how it worked, that would allow you to then write a PRD against that.
Yeah.
And that solved most of my problems.
Do you use a sub agent to do that, or do you just use the main?
I don't even like give.
That's the
I don't
thing,
even set any.
I haven't either.
Claude rules or anything like that. I just because I do so much plan. I have custom like agents and stuff to do the planning.
Yeah.
And I think because the plan is detailed enough, like all the context that the execution agent might need is already in the plan anyway.
Yeah.
Like it's just, I don't know if I really need to spend a lot of time with
That was my thinking too.
Claude files.
It felt a bit like unnecessary and superfluous to do. Yeah.
Yeah, there might be some stuff. Maybe I should have a .claude rules or something that just says that just do it right.
Yeah.
Like it's just, but yeah. So where I was going with Wingman is I was like, okay, Claude Code's still the way to do it. But what I don't want to do is be stuck in my computer.
Yeah.
So instead, I've got inside Wingman, we've got like almost like a deep dive. It's called the deep dive. Right? It's a terminal emulator that because I'm connecting to like a web server on the machine natively, I can then and again, this isn't exposed to the internet or like this is all on my own like private overlay networks and stuff, which you don't don't want to like YOLO this stuff necessarily into the internet. Is that I can connect to that, and then I can use that site to run a terminal emulator on the machine to connect to all the like available TMUX sessions. So I also have like a little Wingman CLI that runs inside Wingman that just provides like a very like lightweight terminal user interface.
Nice.
So it goes like, okay, these are all the sessions that are running right now. Here's all their names. Like you can create new ones, delete them. Okay, click into that one, bang, and then I have Claude Code running, but it can render like Claude Code beautifully onto my mobile.
Oh, nice.
And then because again, I've got control of this whole thing. I was like, okay, the bits I can't do are all of these like overlay, like these key binding commands for TMUX aren't working, so I need something to do that. So I've got a little drop-down menu, and it gives me all the common commands I would want for resizing stuff and bringing in new windows and closing stuff and zooming. I was like, this is like better than any terminal app that I've found on my machine. So now it's become my like default way of remote accessing the machine at home to do anything is to do this. And I'll sometimes forget because I'll go in, I'll go restart Wingman. I'm like, why is Wingman not working? It's like, I just turned it off using it. Like, all right, okay, I'll use one of the other sessions. But it's just it's nuts. Yeah. So then so what I'll do is I'll do all the planning inside. So it's pretty similar to like what we did previously. Slow code, same methodology, but different tooling now, where all the stuff happens inside Goose to do the planning, and then I'll go into deep dive, fire up the term, like pull up a Claude Code session, and just inside the particular work tree. So I've got a bit more automation about how I create like the projects and the work trees and things like that for Git, just to make it easier to have lots of different feature branches going on.
Yep.
And stuff like that. And I also have like a Goose agent that will rebase and merge like all of my PRs and stuff. So it's like, okay, well, I don't like rebasing stuff and dealing with the conflicts. It's just like, all right, you do that. Like, it's pretty obvious what's going on, and it just runs it all. And I just run Claude Code like when we were having a coffee earlier.
Yeah.
That's what I was just
going.
quickly typing away. It's like, oh, just go and do this, and I just give it a command. It
Yeah.
goes and does it. It's like
Very human, to be honest.
it's fucking awesome.
It's
Like, I
cool.
can do all of it from the phone, which was like,
Yeah.
so like what the first like phase 0 version of Wingman is just, can I do everything that I need to from the phone?
Yeah.
And I can. I've done like full features, everything. Like,
Yeah.
and again, because I've got Obsidian on the phone, I can copy an Obsidian like link on my phone, and then just paste it into the terminal in Wingman for Claude Code and say, implement this. And then soon, so I also have a, I built, yeah, so then like, so that was like phase 1. Like, the next thing I got was like, look, what I should be able to do is, instead of me starting a Wingman session manually, I should be able to just hit an API endpoint. I think I was sending you like the screenshots of this last week, where it's like, okay, now I can just hit this endpoint and it creates a Wingman session with loads of particular recipe, so it has access to like particular data sources and things, and then injects the first prompt to kick off a particular session. Like, it's like, oh, okay, cool. So I can have this just run, and as soon as I've got that, it's like, well, it's a piece of piss to now have a scheduler that just goes, all right, well, at this time, call this curl command. Like, you know, just stick that in a cron. I don't even need to really write anything for it. So now I've got scheduling, and I've got like automated stuff, or I've got like any other program, as long as I do the networking, is going to be able to hit this and just trigger off a session. Obviously, like now all of a sudden there's a bunch of whitelisting and stuff in there, because I can't have this coming from any domain.
Yeah.
And then there's checks to say like, okay, are you somebody that can start these sessions or not? Because that would be an easy DDoS.
Yeah.
So all that's in there as well. I mean, it means that I can just start sessions without being involved.
Yeah.
But then as soon as I pull up my phone and I hit active sessions, I can see what's active and what's running, and I can check in on it. And I click in, and it shows me exactly what's going on. I can read it.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, cool. And then I was like, okay, that's start. Now I need like the sign off procedure, which is like, okay, I've done the work. I'm going to update something.
Yeah.
Which I always feel this is almost like the missing bit in a lot of AI systems, because they kind of assume that you're in the chat, so it just leaves the chat message. And it's like, no, I want, like, when you've finished, you should update a system and then send me a message, or you should write a file somewhere, because like dropping a file in this folder probably triggers something else that's going to go on in a batch system. Something like this. It's like there should be like a way of formally doing this. So I wrote this MCP called return to base, which will allow you to take the output of your session. It'll summarize your session into a particular output that's either like a summary of the conversation into a file, or a particular like data thing into a file, or it'll read the system prompt that you've got that'll include like a JSON object, and it will interpret that into a schema. And then it will write a schema for you that you need to send a payload to a webhook. So you have a very flexible way of, every time you call this particular MCP tool, it can go, all right, well, what's the schema I'm using? That's the schema, right? I need to send a message that works for that schema to that webhook, right? What have I got in my? So this is what the AI is doing in the background. It's like, okay, what's in the session? Like, oh, okay, it's pretty clear. Like, that's the output, that's the thing, that's this data, that's this data. So it fills in the JSON object and then posts it to a webhook.
Yeah.
And like, as soon as you've got that, like, that is also the same thing that would kick off another session, right? It's just a particular payload of data hitting a trigger is what could kick off a goose session. So all of a sudden, you've got the ability to go from like a goose to a goose to a goose to a goose to a human to a goose to a goose to a human, and like, that's the dream. So like, it's got all the primitives now. So and this is why I'm like refactoring and tightening up. I was like, okay, shit, I've just proved like a lot of what I you know, like the 12-month roadmap. We need a bigger roadmap. Like, what's going on here? But first, I should, you know, make it good.
Yeah.
It needs to be good and boring first. That this just always works and there's no issues. But it's sort of amazing at that point, because I'm like,
cool.
okay, because this is what's going to allow me to very quickly go, all right, every night, what were the commits? Right, take for each commit, post to this webhook with the, you know, PRs that are generated, like to this PR, and then it says with the instruction, download this and check it and give me a review. And then that goes off and
off it goes.
It creates a PR in GitHub, and then posts. Effectively, that post to the webhook is then going to spin up a new Goose session, whose job it is to go and review that. And I'll say, look, you give me a review on this and write a comment that outlines like all of your concerns. And then somebody else will come in, and then your return to base is fire off this person, and this person comes in and reads your comment, and then like addresses it, and then fire off this person. This person fires off Claude Code to fix it, and then when it's done, it goes, okay, well, there's a new one there now, and then you go, okay, and that triggers like another action, which goes, okay, well, now he's just posted back to this PR. There's a new, you know, there's an update here. Let's go and review it again, and then you can just keep going through this. And you could have like one of them could be deterministic. So like, what's the next action? Is it is it a review or approve? Like if it's is it approve or rework? If it's a rework action, then send it over here and this person's going to trigger Claude Code. If it's an approve action, just leave it there as approval and I'll look at it in the morning. And it's like all this stuff is going to be a case of just plugging in, like building the recipes and plugging in the data, and it just needs to be put in. So this is what I'm going to do to my entire workflow to make everything, because this is like, you know, like this is like one of the ways to start catching like the security issues that you've got, and that is to start, all right, well, have versions of these agents with access to, you know, exploit libraries and various things. Just come and check it like all the time, like just do way more review and analysis than you would ever do if you were a reasonable person, and your code is going to be like 1,000 times better. Like and I'm just like so stoked, because this is just like
it's very cool. Well, it seems like a very cool framework to actually just build a business off.
I think you could, well, that's what we're talking about, right? I think this is the way to do it. Is okay, you could try it like this. There's a lot of like free stuff you get, and we've discussed this so many times in the past, that when you just like run it on your machine, there's a lot of stuff you don't have to care about. Like if you build something out as like a SaaS service for something, it's like, oh god, I've got to have this whole like, you know, there's multiple people on this machine now. Like, and what does that mean?
Exactly.
Like, how am I segregating all that? And it's like, I don't want to. Like, it's just not that interesting. Like compared to, guys, like I'll sell you a Mac Mini with this installed.
Exactly. Like,
would you like one? Send sats. And like we'll give you this thing, and then I'll show you how to set it up. And like, or you just go, all right, well, I mean, could this Mac Mini just be a business? Like, does it even need me? Can I like, what can we do here as a fully autonomous business?